Wednesday, windy and cooler after that into Thursday. Natasha and Bianca.
All right, Nick, thanks so much. Well, Halloween season is now reaching new depths. Pumpkins are being carved underwater.
All right, this is the scene at the Mall of America in Minnesota. Two divers dressed up as clownfish headed into the ocean tunnel with their pumpkins, one carved out a traditional jack-o'-lantern, while the other carved out a sea turtle. They're going to keep the pumpkin carving show going through Halloween, but do the fish like the debris?
I know.
We don't know.
The pumpkin guts, do they eat them? Don't know. All right, that does it for us tonight. We'll see you back here at 10 o'clock.
Have a safe night. Extra stars for
Battleground New York City, the fight for your vote. Your front row seat to the battle for New York's next mayor. It's the old guard clinging to power, chasing a candidate they never saw coming. Every night, our experts break it down.
What New Yorkers want above all else is authenticity.
We're listening to the people who matter most, you, the voters. And when the candidates sit across from us, nothing's off the table. What's your plan to make New York City feel like a safer city?
S.E. Cupp, that's your perception. Of course there's a lot of crime.
So what's happening right now? Let's dive in. Welcome to Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote. It is Thursday, October 2nd, and we are 33 days away from this all-important New York City mayoral race. And it feels like fall, y'all, doesn't it? I think it does. Later in today's show, we will talk more in depth with one of the candidates running to be mayor of New York City. But first, as always, let's get to some news. Joining me now is Josephine Stratman, a reporter covering City Hall and New York City politics for the New York Daily News. Welcome back, Josie.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I love this part of the campaign season when all the ads come out, and that's the time we're in. All three major candidates aired new ads this week, so let's take a look at them one at a time. Mamdani aired a new TV ad during the Golden Bachelor, and that's important. You'll see why. Take a look.
You deserve better. You deserve to be able to raise your family here, to be safe, to travel where you need to, free of costs and worry. You deserve someone who works as hard as you do, who thinks about you every second of the day. That's the kind of mayor I promise to be. New York, will you accept this rose?
Paid for by Zola.
Okay, I have thoughts, but Josie, what can you tell us about this ad?
Right, so it's clearly a play on the Golden Bachelor, presenting the viewership with a rose. Will they take it? Will they elect him mayor? And it's a fun way for him to try to get at attracting older voters to support him. He's performed really well among younger New Yorkers, but although he's still the front runner, he's leading by double digits. He wants to expand that base, so this is a way to hopefully get some exposure and gain some votes for him from older voters.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little cringy for me, but listen, I don't think I'm his target audience in any way. But
Not a
what he has
Bachelor
done,
fan.
I'm not a Golden Bachelor fan or a Bachelor fan. I think I'm too old for the Bachelor, too young for the Golden Bachelor, but also was a little too intimate for my liking. But listen, he's really good at these kind of, quirky, funny ads. I remember I was teaching a class at my alma mater earlier this year, and one of the kids in the class played an early Mamdani ad that I thought was wacko. It was wacko, but he got it. This college kid got it because it was for him. So listen, he's doing something right. I'm clearly not his problem. Mamdani's ad was part of the new ad wars. Andrew Cuomo also released an ad. Here's his. It's a little curious. Take a look.
I'm Andrew Cuomo, and I could pretend to do a lot of jobs. But I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And I do know how to make government work. I'll hire 5,000 new cops to partner with local community groups and keep our families safe. And we'll get the homeless off the streets and into the help they desperately need. There are a lot of jobs I can't do, but I'm ready to be your mayor on day one.
Okay, so first, Josie, this was AI, right? He was using AI for a lot of this?
Yeah. When he's, washing the windows outside the high rises and on
Yeah.
the trading floor, that's clearly not him. It's AI. So that's kind of interesting. We haven't seen AI really used like this in the mayoral race yet.
No, and I'm not mad at it. And I actually think it was, for him, kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely trying to take a humorous tone here. It's obviously a little comical. We've known Cuomo for decades as a politician, so to see him in a hard hat or, in a different setting, it's a bit funny. Yeah.
It is funny. And I think I've been saying this. I think his whole campaign should be predicated on I'm the experienced candidate. And that's what he's, hammering in this. And I know what I know and I know what I don't know. So I actually thought it was pretty good. Let's take a look at Curtis Lewa's. His was a bit more serious.
You can hear a woman screaming. Rapes in broad daylight. Attacks on the subway. Why? Cuomo.
We're going to end the cash bail system once and for all.
Worse, Zohran Mamdani wants to go even further. With them in charge, you are not safe.
We deserve better. I'm Curtis Lewa. I'm asking for your vote for mayor. Together, we'll build back a safer, more affordable New York.
Okay, now this ad is for me. This ad is aimed at me, a security mom, right? Someone who, thinks about safety and crime all the time. It was obviously a bit more doom and gloom than the other two candidates, which, aired some fairly lighthearted messages. What'd you make of this? Was this smart of him?
Yeah, well, this is like a more traditional political ad. We've seen this type of ad in past elections while the other two candidates were pushing the envelope, each in different ways. I mean, crime is Curtis Lewa's issues, founder of the Guardian Angels, Red Beret, like that is his strength. That's what he's focused on for years. And so that ad made sense for him.
I think it does make sense for him. And he's got to carve out a lane, right? It's not just enough to be the Republican in the race because it's not a Republican town. And so I think that was, it's a smart lane for him. If I were him, if I were advising him, I would tell him to do that 24/7. Josie, stay right there. I've got some more questions for you. Battleground NYC will be right back. We're back with Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote. And let's get back to more news from this race. Back with me is Josie Stratman, a reporter covering City Hall and New York City politics for the New York Daily News. Josie, he's no longer in the race, but let's talk about Eric Adams just for a second. You reported yesterday that Mayor Eric Adams' effort to unlock public campaign cash was rejected for a second time. Why was that? And do you think that was part of his calculus in dropping out?
Yes. I mean, what he said repeatedly now, including last Sunday when he announced he was leaving the race, was that his campaign's failure to unlock these public matching funds, which is a crucial part of most mayoral campaigns, was a big reason for him stepping out of the race. Of course, he still had millions of dollars on hand, so I don't know if that was truly the issue.
I read he still had $4 million on hand. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So he did have money to spend if he wanted to. But that said, it is a setback, and there's potential complications with that.
And they didn't match because of his indictment. Is that right?
So they initially didn't offer him matching funds back in December because of the corruption indictment. When that indictment was dropped, the Adams campaign sued for a first time and didn't win, did not get matching funds, although the judge did say that the city campaign finance board couldn't use this now dismissed indictment as a justification to not give the mayor matching funds. The CFB, this campaign finance board, then started their own probe, kind of retracing the Fed steps. And that was part of the reason the Adams campaign, once again, did not get, or was not granted by this judge to get matching funds.
Okay.
So it's a lost cause, seemingly, at this point, for him to get that money.
Yeah. He also made a public appearance yesterday, one of his first since announcing the end of his campaign. He had some choice words for, well, we can't even repeat one of them on the air. What did he say? And you can just say bleep for the word.
Yeah, he said, don't bleep this up for the next mayor of New York. And he said that was advice former Mayor Bloomberg gave to him when he was about to become mayor. Interesting. And this was his first major public appearance since he dropped out of the race. So he kind of came out swinging with that.
Right.
Another thing he said is, you're going to miss me during that same appearance.
I mean, you got to give the guy some props for confidence, right? Okay, there's a new Suffolk University City View poll of 500 voters whose top issues are the economy, housing, and crime. We know that. We've been covering those issues. What can you tell us, though, about how that's breaking down for the candidates?
Right. Yes, we've seen this. There have been numerous polls for the mayoral race, and respondents keep saying affordability in the economy, housing, and crime are their main issues. And these are each candidate's trying to attack this in different ways. Mamdani clearly with he's had a lot of clear messaging around affordability, stuff like freeze the rent, free buses. So that's where he's going. But obviously, as we were talking about earlier, someone like Curtis Sliwa is trying to really aim for the crime, as is Andrew Cuomo. He's pledged to hire, I think, 5,000 new cops. So he's trying to appeal to voters for public safety and crime in that way.
Okay, moving on to another issue. Orthodox Jewish groups announced yesterday they're backing Andrew Cuomo. And we've been talking here on the show about Mamdani's mixed support among New York Jewish voters. Should Mamdani be worried that Andrew Cuomo could do really well with an important voting bloc?
To be honest, probably not. I think we saw in the primary that the Israel-Palestine conflict was not on either side really giving the candidates a huge boost. I mean, largely with that issue, voters have made up their mind where they fall, and that's that. I will say this endorsement for Cuomo is interesting because we're seeing it kind of in the fallout of Adams stepping out of the race. Adams has had a lot of support from Orthodox groups in the city, and so we're seeing maybe they're going to start switching over to Cuomo. Obviously, for Cuomo, it's still important. It's obviously very important voting bloc in this city. So if he can capture the Orthodox Jewish vote, that could be great for his campaign.
Yeah, he needs every voter he could turn out, right?
Exactly.
Okay, lastly, Mamdani was on The View yesterday. We talked about it a bit yesterday. He said on the show he planned to apologize personally to cops for the offensive things he said about them in the past. Is that good enough?
I mean, it'll be up to the officers and the police unions. Although I will say the police unions don't seem too receptive to Mamdani, so that regardless will be a tough relationship to cultivate for him, whether or not he becomes mayor. But yeah, I mean, this is what Mamdani said previously. He's sort of meeting with cops on a smaller level and having productive conversations with them. So they're voters too. So we'll see.
That's right. That's right. Okay, Josie Stratman, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we'll talk with one of the independent candidates for mayor, Joseph Hernandez, Battleground NYC. The fight for your vote returns after this. And we're back with Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote. And joining me now for the bigger picture is Joseph Hernandez, an independent candidate running for mayor of New York City. Mr. Hernandez, thanks for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, so let's get into it. I want to get your reaction as a candidate for mayor about Mayor Eric Adams dropping out of the race. What was your take? Were you surprised? Was it the right thing to do?
Well, listen, I don't agree with a lot of Mr. Adams' policies. I mean, I think the city is not a better city since he took in charge. But all that being said, I think you have to look at the bigger picture of who he is as an individual, where he started off in life. I mean, this is a kid that was raised by a single mom, had 6 siblings, I believe is the story. He came from nothing, and he rose through the ranks to be the mayor of the largest city in this country. You have to respect that man.
Yeah.
I don't care what your policies are or how much you disagree with him, but I have a great deal of respect for the man. I really do. Whether it was the right thing to do or not, I think New York City and the residents of New York City really want a clean start. I think we've had a historical issue with corruption here in the city. We've had issues with, how poorly the government's run. I think New York City and the residents of New York City really want a new slate. And this is why these new candidates are getting traction. This is why I'm getting traction. I'm new to politics. I'm not a politician. I'm a business guy who really just wants to clean up the city and do something great for the city. So with Zoran, I think these new chapters are important, and I think the city really wants that.
We also had Jim Walden on the show. He also dropped out and is asking others to do the same, to coalesce around a candidate, in his case, Cuomo. Is that something you'd consider, or are you in this race till the end?
You know what? I don't know what's going on in the world. Jim is actually a great guy. I personally know Jim. I think he was one of these other candidates that was a fresh face in this race.
Yeah, he was likable.
A really good guy, was in it for the right reasons, didn't really need the job. He just wanted to really help the city like I do. So I think he and I are aligned in a lot of ways in that regard. Look, I'm going to continue to fight. As I mentioned to you before, I am an immigrant. I came from nothing. My dad washed dishes. My mom cleaned houses. I have been in last place my whole entire life, and I always figure out a way to win. So I'm going to stay in here till as long as I think is possible for me to have a chance. Okay. I am fighting to get on the debate floor, by the way. I'm fighting the powers that be to get on that floor. I think if I get on that floor, I will make a very good case for the residents of New York City that I should be running the city. Again, I'm doing it for the right reasons. I have a great plan. I'm logical. I am common sense, which is missing in the world today, especially in New York politics. And I think when I put out my message and my plan for this city, I think it'll resonate. I'm hopeful that that'll happen. And I have 30 some odd days to make that case.
33. So what do you have to do to get on the debate stage?
Well, I mean, there are a bunch of criteria that are artificially put there. I think it's a farce. I think it's made by some group of people in a back room. Those limitations and criteria are not fair. Look, I'm the only Hispanic on this race besides the conservative candidate. Both her and I are excluded from the debate stage. That is unfair. That's undemocratic. That New York City is made up of 30% Hispanics. We should be on that stage debating our policies and our positions. And I think the campaign finance board and the TV stations that are running this debate should really think twice about the fairness and whether that's a democratic thing or not. I think it's unfair. I think if I go on stage, I will debate them and all my policies. And I think at the end of that debate, the city, the residents of the city will agree that I am the best person suited to run the city.
If you don't get on the debate stage, what are you going to do in these final weeks of the campaign to get your message out?
Well, I mean, my mother said to be nice until you don't have to be nice. I am going to sue. I've made it very clear. I sent a legal letter to all the stations and to the campaign's finance board. They have until Friday to reply to me. If they don't, I plan on filing suit against all the parties involved. I'm going to take them to court, and if they don't let me on the stage, they're going to pay for it financially. That being said, I'm going to continue to carry my message forward. My message is resonating. I'm using the mediums I have to communicate my message and my vision for New York City. And I can tell you that once people know me, I poll so much better than the other individuals. We did a blinded poll where we looked at people who knew me compared to the other candidates. I poll significantly higher than Zoran and even Cuomo. So I think as long as people know who I am, I will do well because I am logical. I am commonsensical. I'm here for the right reasons. I love the city. I want to do what's right for the city. I want to increase the safety in the city. We don't have public safety. I have great broad support of the police, the NYPD, and anybody you ask about the NYPD, they'll tell you we support Joseph. Joseph is the right candidate. He has our backs, and he's the only one in this race that has our backs. And I have a plan for affordability and a real issue in the city. And then lastly, I want to introduce artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is going to change the way we run the city and bring efficiency. I am the only candidate talking about that.
That's true. I haven't heard anyone else really getting into that issue, and it is kind of the defining issue of our times right now. Joe, stay right there. I have some more questions for you after the break. Battleground NYC. We'll be right back after this.
Great.
We're back with Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote. One more time with the bigger picture is Joseph Hernandez, an independent candidate running for mayor. Regardless of your thoughts on his policies, Joe, has Mamdani been good for reinvigorating the New York City electorate, getting people excited to vote?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, listen. I'm guilty of watching his rose ceremonies just as much as anybody is. So I think his social media capabilities are second to none. I think if you want to vote for a social media person, he is the perfect candidate. I don't know that his real policies or his experience warrant running the city. But that being said, he does bring a lot of energy to the process. And I think, look, I think it makes us all think differently about everything, both our policy, how we communicate to the voting base, and then really about the young people. I think they've been discarded for a very long period of time. You know, he's got a big following within the young community, within single, the single young community of New York City that historically has not voted. And these people are empowered and they're invigorated. I think there's something to be said about that. And we, as people who are trying to run the city and trying to bring in new policies and new things to improve the city, I think it brings value because now we should be listening to the young people of the city.
I want your thoughts on some of his promises, that he's made on housing and groceries and affordability and public safety. We've talked to a bunch of people here who say, we know Albany, he'll never be able to get a lot of this stuff done. Is he selling voters a pipe dream in your estimation?
I mean, absolutely. I've been saying that since day one. I mean, he's a great storyteller and a great social media influencer. But as it relates to really putting policies in place that are going to be real and tangible, are going to be put out, I think his challenges are going to be great. And by the way, he's picking a fight with the federal government. Good luck with that one. I mean, I think you're seeing some of the muscle flexing out of Washington, D.C. This is just the beginning. This guy's going to have a very, very hard time running the city if he is in fact elected. I wouldn't want to be in his position, to be quite honest, because I think his challenges are immense. His fights that he's picking are immense. And I don't think that the policies he's promising to New York City are going to come to fruition. By contrast, the things that I'm saying around police, increasing police presence and bringing artificial intelligence into the application of government and increasing the supply on the vacancy side of the equation. I've always said that the issue of affordability around housing is not a rent freeze issue. That is a temporary solution that gets us nothing. We need to increase the supply. And the only way to do that is to increase the number of new units. And that requires innovative approaches around what we have with regards to office space and also partnering up with builders, the same people he's trying to kick out of the city. And I think he's going to have a very hard time with the policies and the things he's putting forth. I really do.
You mentioned the federal fight, and I wanted to ask you about that, the role that Trump is playing. And Trump is picking on New York, and Trump is threatening Mamdani if he wins to withhold federal funding and send in the National Guard, et cetera. Voters we talk to say they want someone who's going to take on Donald Trump. Is that Zohran Mamdani in your mind?
I don't know that I would. I mean, look, Donald Trump's been around the block. He knows how to negotiate. He wrote a book on negotiations. He's probably not the best, or he's probably not the weakest guy to negotiate against. I think, Zohran's inexperienced. I mean, the reality is this individual doesn't have a formal education in negotiations. I mean, I think his degrees in Africana studies, and he's a subway rapper. I mean, I don't know that I would put him and Trump to negotiate a deal on how to finance the city or how to continue to provide the federal funding we need. The city of New York gets $10 billion from the federal government. Without that, we are in a deficit. We have to go raise debt because we certainly don't have any ability to raise additional tax dollars. So I think this is a real fight. I think banging your chest is one thing, but I think you really have to be serious about the implications here. And I can tell you, Donald Trump is not playing. This guy's serious. And you need a serious person to negotiate. I'm that person. I can negotiate with this guy. I'm a business guy. I do this on a daily basis. I deal with Trump likes every day. This is my cup of tea.
Do you see this race changing or shaking up in the last few weeks? Like what could happen to really change it?
I think the debate is going to be transformative. And that's why, again, I'm fighting very hard to be on the debate floor. I think there's a lot of voters that are holding their votes. I think there's a lot of undecided. I think there's people who have decided for Zohran who really now understand who he is, who are willing to change their votes. I think there's the similar situation occurs with Cuomo. I think people who backed him are now thinking twice about whether he really is the right person to run the city. After all, he's the one that brought in bail reform, which has caused all the chaos in the city. So I think there's a lot of undecided still, and I think the debate floor is going to be the ultimate decider. And that's why I'm fighting really hard to be there, because I know that if I get on that floor, and I should be on that floor, I'm going to bring forward a good case as to why I should be running the city and not these not these old hags or these other individuals who don't have real experience in running a city.
Well, I'm also looking forward to the debate, and I hope you're on the stage because I always want to hear from more people, not fewer people, and the debates can be game changers in politics. You just look back at 2024, right? So we'll see, and we'll be tracking it all, and I hope you come back and join us in the coming weeks.
Wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, and we'll see you back here tomorrow and every Monday through Friday for more in-depth conversation, context, and reporting right here on Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote. I'm Essie Cupp. Thanks for tuning in.